What is up, cheeseheads? Welcome back to another episode of BAM GPG. So, Bryson, ESPN came out with their rankings of safeties for this year. So, can you guess which Packer landed on that list?
Xavier McKinney.
Xavier McKinney, X-Men. So, according to ESPN, they have him ranked as the third best safety in the NFL. So, Xavier McKinney, first year with the Packers last season, immediate game changer, right? We haven't had a top safety like that it's probably been 14, 15 years since we had Nick Collins. We haven't seen that level of play at safety since then. Absolute game changer for Green Bay. He makes everyone around him better, right? So if you think back to last season, who are our other safeties? You had Bullard and you had Evan Williams, right? So both rookies last year, and they were kind of able to play a little bit more free because of Xavier McKinney, right? Which made them better, took some of the pressure off them and allowed them to kind of, as I mentioned, play a lot more free. I do think, and I don't know if you agree with me, Bryson, but I do think Evan Williams has kind of solidified himself as his counterpart, if you would, right? So I think your top two safeties back there are going to be Evan Williams and obviously Xavier McKinney. But they had him ranked number 3, right? So who did they have in front of him, right? The guy they had at number 2 is the Detroit Lion, Brian Branch, and the number 1 rated safety they had was the Baltimore Ravens, Kyle Hamilton. So I just wanted to take a quick look at those two and see how you feel about it, Bryce, and see how you Packer fans feel about it, whether or not I know 3's pretty high, but is a little bit of a shade on McKinney. I certainly thought he could have been up at least top 2, right? So let's go ahead and take a quick look into that. Let's look at their PFF grades from last season. Let's start here with Kyle Hamilton. So the number 1 rated safety last season, he had an overall grade of 90.1. Pass rush grade was pretty good, an 89. His run defensive grade was an 89.4. And his coverage grade was also pretty good, 87.9. So he had 1 interception on the season, did allow 47 receptions. So I love the run defense by Kyle Hamilton, right? You need that out of safety sometimes, but when you think of safety, you think of the secondary, right? You think of the guys in coverage. You're thinking tight ends, wide receivers, the guys down the field. So you really don't. It comes to the running game, but typically you think of your linemen, your linebackers for that. So when I look at a safety, I guess what I'm getting to is, when I look at safeties, the stat that matters to me is how were they in coverage, right? What was their coverage?
Yeah.
And 87.9 is really good for Kyle Hamilton in coverage. Interceptions weren't there. He did allow 47 receptions on the season for Baltimore. So that is who they had as the number 1 rated safety. So let's go on down the list. Let's go to number 2 here and Brian Branch. So Brian Branch last season, Bryson, had an overall grade of 77.6, right? This is the guy they put in front of Xavier McKinney. Again, pass rush grade, run defense, 91 and 90, pretty good. And his coverage grade wasn't great. It's borderline average at 70. He had 4 interceptions and allowed 46 receptions on the season last year. So, again, when I look at safeties, the numbers that I like to look at, run defense is great, but I like to see what they were in coverage. And 70, kind of borderline average, 4 picks, 46 receptions allowed for Branch. So that is who they rank number 2 on the list. And then we'll get to number 3, Xavier McKinney, right? So let's get him pulled up here. So Xavier McKinney on the season, he graded out an 84.8. His run defensive grade, borderline slightly. His run defensive grade was slightly below average. His pass rush grade was, slightly above average. But coverage grade, that's what I look at, 90 on his coverage grade. He had 8 interceptions, only allowed 25 receptions on the season. Fantastic. When you look at terms of coverage, it's not even close. Xavier McKinney wins that battle. It's better than Brian Branch's, and it's better than Kyle Hamilton's to that aspect. In totality, if you factor in the run defense, yeah, Kyle Hamilton. But if you're looking at strictly coverage alone, Xavier McKinney, right? There isn't a better cover safety than Xavier McKinney in the NFL, and I'll argue that one, right? So the numbers don't lie. Brian Branch, true head scratcher. There's no way. I don't know if you agree with me, Bryson. There's no way I would rank him above Xavier McKinney on that list.
Yeah, go back to Brian Branch again.
Yeah, so Brian Branch, coverage grade of 70 on the season there. He had 4 interceptions, allowed 46 passes to get caught on the season.
Yeah.
McKinney only allowed 25 receptions. He had 8 interceptions, had a coverage grade of 90 on the season, which, again, second, safeties, I know they're involved in the run game. Got it. They're mainly there in the secondary, right? So you want to see their coverage grade up. And McKinney's was excellent, 90 on that with 8 picks on the season. So I don't know. How do you feel about that list, Bryson?
Yeah, I think Xavier McKinney should be put second. I think Kyle Hamilton should be still first. Xavier McKinney second.
I agree. I mean, Kyle Hamilton still had relatively close to 90. I think it was 87.9 on his coverage grade. McKinney's was 90. McKinney did have more interceptions on the year, but his run defense wasn't as great. So if you're looking at it in totality, yeah, probably Kyle Hamilton number one. But it's a real head scratcher to me that Branch was ahead of McKinney on that list.
I think Branch shouldn't even be on the top 5.
No, his coverage grade, it was average at best at 70, right? Wasn't great. He allowed almost nearly double the receptions McKinney did last season. So that's something that's a little bit.
Yeah, he shouldn't even be on the top 5.
I agree. Not a big fan of Branch. Kind of a dirty player too, right? I don't think that's anything to speculate anymore. I think the evidence is there on tape. Regardless, to this list, it's hard to be upset about being ranked 3rd in the NFL at a position that's awesome, especially at safety, a position Green Bay's really struggled with. As I mentioned in the opening here, we haven't had a strong safety play like that since Nick Collins, and that was probably the 2011 season. So it's been 14, almost 15 years since we've had a solid safety play back there. Love it in Green Bay. Again, Evan Williams is going to be his counterpart. Feel really strong about our safeties in Green Bay. The one question mark, head scratcher Green Bay had this offseason was our cornerback play. So
yes,
we're going to need our safeties to step up. They're going to have to play a lot more coverage this season just because our cornerbacks are truly the weakness on the defense this year. I know we have our defensive line problems, but I think our cornerbacks are probably our weakest point on the defense this season, especially with the departure of Jair Alexander. And I get it, right? We
just saying our offense has to play phenomenal this season.
Got to control the ball. Can't turn it over. We got to control the ball, control the clock. But I think our defense will play well. And I understand we played the majority of last season without Jair Alexander. Our defense was fine. But I think when you do have good cornerback play, that does allow Hafley to kind of open up his playbook, and it allows him to implement a lot more things because you're not so worried about shifting coverages, who you're going to be double teaming. If you have solid cornerback play, that really opens up your safeties as well to different things you can do. But we'll see what they do. Maybe Nixon lives up to his words and plays at a cornerback 1 level. But that is the update we have for today, is the safety lift. Green Bay has the guy on there finally. So number 3, I think it should probably be 1 higher, but we'll take it. Got the 3rd best rated safety according to ESPN. Stats tell a little bit different story on PFF, but according to ESPN, Xavier McKinney, number 3 in the NFL. So that's refreshing news. So that's all we got for you today. And Bryson, as always,
it's Go Pat Go.